Russia has just been dealt a significant blow by one of its long-standing allies. For years, Kazakhstan stood as a reliable partner to Moscow, tied by shared history, proximity, and substantial trade. Most crucially, it provided a vital resource for Russia's war efforts in Ukraine: gunpowder produced in large quantities. However, that partnership has now collapsed. Kazakhstan is shifting its allegiance toward the West, and in doing so, it has cut off a critical supply: nitrocellulose, the key component in gunpowder that fuels Russia's military machine. Without this material, Russia's forces face challenges in maintaining their ammunition stocks, hindering their ability to sustain combat operations. Nitrocellulose, a highly flammable substance made by combining nitric esters with cellulose, has been a cornerstone of modern gunpowder since the late 1800s. Russia relies heavily on it to support its ongoing conflict. When Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the European Union swiftly responded with sanctions, including an April 2022 ban on nitrocellulose exports to Russia. Despite this, Russia circumvented the restrictions, importing 2,000 metric tons of nitrocellulose in 2022, 5 times the amount imported in 2021. In 2023, imports doubled to 4,000 metric tons as President Vladimir Putin sought to bolster ammunition production amid a prolonged war of attrition in Ukraine. Kazakhstan played a pivotal role as a major supplier of nitrocellulose, sourced from its cotton pulp production. Alongside Uzbekistan, it has been a key producer of the raw materials needed to manufacture this explosive compound. Without cotton pulp, nitrocellulose cannot be produced, and Russia's ability to create gunpowder and explosives is severely compromised. According to a June 17 report by Euromaidan Press, Kazakhstan has made a monumental decision. It will no longer supply nitrocellulose to Russia. The report highlights Kazakhstan's role alongside Uzbekistan as a primary producer of cotton pulp essential for nitrocellulose. Until recently, Kazakhstan maintained a neutral stance, supplying pulp to both Russia and NATO-aligned nations to maximize profits from its position in the global nitrocellulose supply chain. However, Euromaidan Press indicates a shift, noting that Kazakhstan is reducing these shipments and exploring military supply chains aligned with Western nations. If Kazakhstan fully redirects its resources to NATO countries, it could significantly impair Russia's ammunition production, particularly as the Ukraine conflict persists. Russia is incensed by this move. According to Euromaidan Press, Kremlin military analysts and political figures have expressed outrage, viewing Kazakhstan's pivot to the West as a betrayal of their decades-long partnership. For Putin, this development poses multiple challenges. The most immediate is the reduction in nitrocellulose supplies, which directly impacts Russia's ability to produce ammunition for its ground forces in Ukraine. More broadly, Kazakhstan's decision signals a weakening of Russia's influence over Central Asia, particularly in Kazakhstan, a region critical to Moscow's geopolitical ambitions. The most striking aspect for Putin is that this shift may have caught him off guard, as he believed Russia and Kazakhstan were steadfast allies. This perception was reinforced by Kazakhstan's president Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, as recently as November 2024. In an article published in the Russian newspaper Izvestia, reported by News Central Asia, Tokayev described the relationship between Kazakhstan and Russia as a model of robust and enduring partnership. He emphasized deep historical, cultural, and cooperative ties, portraying the two nations as exemplars of multifaceted collaboration in a turbulent world. Tokayev noted frequent communication with Putin, describing their relationship as open, effective, and respectful. He also highlighted the extensive economic ties, with 23,000 Russian companies operating in Kazakhstan, including 4,000 established in the past year, reflecting growing economic engagement. In 2023, Russia invested over $3 billion in Kazakhstan, with Kazakhstan reciprocating at a similar level. Additionally, Tokayev cited 90 joint projects worth $18 billion and 49 more in development, suggesting a thriving partnership that aligned with Putin's expectations. However, these warm words masked underlying tensions. Putin's state visit to Kazakhstan in November 2024, during which Tokayev's article was published, did not yield the strategic alignment Russia sought. Marcin Poplawski, writing for the Center for Eastern Studies, noted that despite the rhetoric of friendship, Kazakhstan avoided endorsing Russia's foreign policy objectives, particularly its actions in Ukraine. No agreements were signed for Russia's involvement in a new Kazakh nuclear power plant, or a proposed gas pipeline to enhance Russian gas exports to China. Poplawski described Tokayev's expressions of partnership as superficial, suggesting they were primarily for show. While Kazakhstan valued Russia as a trading partner, it was unwilling to become the strategic ally Putin needed, a nation that would reject the West and support Russia's territorial ambitions. Kazakhstan's decision to halt nitrocellulose exports sends an unambiguous message: it does not support Russia's war in Ukraine. By cutting off cotton pulp supplies, Kazakhstan has abandoned its neutral stance of selling to both sides and aligned itself with the West. This shift is part of a broader trend. In recent months, Kazakhstan has taken several steps to distance itself from Moscow's influence. For instance, in June 2025, Reuters reported the dismissal of Kazakhstan's defense minister, Ruslan Jaksilikov. Previously, the deputy interior minister and head of the National Guard, Jaksilikov, was appointed defense minister in January 2022 during civil unrest. During this period, he facilitated the deployment of troops from a Russia-led alliance of former Soviet states to suppress protests. Euromaidan press described Jaksilikov as openly pro-Russian, noting controversies including corruption allegations and statements referring to Russians as a brother nation. His removal represents another step away from Russian influence, eliminating a key figure Putin could have relied on. Further evidence of Kazakhstan's shift emerged on June 7, 2025, when Kazakhstan signed a military cooperation agreement with the United Kingdom. The agreement includes collaboration on peacekeeping, language training for Kazakh troops, and education for officers at UK military academies. Ole Medunitsia, head of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, interpreted this as a clear sign of Kazakhstan's move away from Russia. He argued that Kazakhstan's leadership recognizes the risks of aligning with Russia and is seeking to bolster its defenses. The agreement signals Kazakhstan's integration with Western military standards, including NATO-compatible training, further loosening Russia's grip. Kazakhstan's pivot is a significant setback for Putin, who sought a strategic alliance during his November 2024 visit but received only trade-focused rhetoric. Medunitsia suggests that Kazakhstan views Russia's preoccupation with Ukraine as an opportunity to strengthen its own defenses, including developing a territorial defense network, and to align with the West. Kazakhstan's actions indicate a desire to see Russia falter in Ukraine. Adding to Russia's woes, Kazakhstan is set to launch a new factory in collaboration with a Singapore-based partner to produce NATO-standard artillery shells. The facility will manufacture 122 mm, 152 mm, and 155 mm shells, the latter compatible with NATO artillery used in Ukraine. While the 122 mm and 152 mm shells could be used by Kazakhstan's Soviet-era artillery, the factory's NATO-standard production suggests potential support for Ukraine. This development, combined with Kazakhstan's growing ties with Singapore, a nation that imposed sanctions on Russia, further underscores its shift away from Moscow. In December 2024, Singapore's ST Engineering signed an agreement with Kazakhstan to produce 8 X-8 amphibious armored vehicles, aiming for 500 units annually. For Putin, the implications are dire. Kazakhstan's cessation of nitrocellulose supplies directly undermines Russia's ammunition production, critical for its summer offensive in Ukraine's Sumy Oblast, where 50,000 troops are deployed, as stated by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Without sufficient gunpowder, Russia's campaigns in Sumy and Donbas face significant setbacks, potentially reducing pressure on Ukrainian forces and increasing Russian casualties, already exceeding 1,000 per day. Kazakhstan's alignment with the West could also lead to NATO-standard shells reaching Ukraine, further tilting the balance. As Kazakhstan strengthens ties with Western nations, it may encourage other Central Asian countries to follow suit, eroding Russia's regional influence. Meanwhile, Putin faces additional challenges from French AASM hammer-guided bombs targeting Russian military leadership. Stay informed by subscribing to our channel for the latest updates on the Ukraine conflict.